Hi guys, it's me, Faye, here at Faye Dusk, and I am going to be doing another video in my new series of Faye's Fairly Important Rants. And I posted the first one a few weeks ago, and it was really well received, so I was really pleased about that. And I'll link this in a playlist with that one, so if you haven't seen that one, you can check it out. And that one was talking about the concept of worshipping a false god and there being one god and blah blah blah, but watch it if you want to know more about what I'm rambling about. But anyway, this topic, or this rant should I say, which again I feel passionately about, is the term fluffy bunny, which for those of you that don't know is a term that's being thrown about quite a lot probably last maybe 10 years or so, since definitely since modern Wicca and paganism has really sort of like taken like a foothold in like modern society, and especially since there's been a vast amount of literature out there, and some authors, I know Silver Raven Wolf is one that is accused of it quite a lot, is accused of being a fluffy bunny. And what is meant by a fluffy bunny is that it's sort of like light and fluffy, and it doesn't really, it's felt that the term doesn't really properly grasp the whole concept of magic, that it only sort of focuses on, like, people that are this only sort of focus on the light-hearted sort of magic stuff, if that makes sense. I mean, it's a term I've heard a lot, and it is used, it is meant to be used like as an insult to someone. It's almost like saying someone isn't really a proper witch or Wiccan or whatever pagan, whatever you associate with, because I don't know, because I don't know, the way you practice or the way you believe is too light and airy, for a lack of a better sort of terminology. And yeah, I mean, before I get into my personal issues and beliefs regarding this term, I find it really ironic that this term is being bandied around anyway, because the whole point, and the whole point of like paganism, just to use the broad term, and why millions of people all across the world are attracted to it and follow the paths and things like that, is because it is unique and individual. I mean, obviously you have the sort of like umbrella term of an earth-based spirituality, but apart from that, you're just a girl. You can go like a million different directions, and that is the beauty of it, and that's what so many people love, as opposed to like a traditional sort of theological religion where you're quite restricted in a lot of ways. Is with this, there's just so much freedom. I mean, there's so many different paths, and people create their own paths, and people follow bits of this path and that path, like anything that resonates with them. So that's the whole point, that like my personal brand of paganism is probably completely different to your personal brand of paganism, because obviously each path is as individual as each person, and that's okay, and that's the good thing about it. That's what the irony is how can you accuse people of being a fluffy bunny, because it's almost like you're saying to them that they should follow a certain path, a certain direction, in order to be classed or qualified as a proper pagan. But that doesn't make sense, because obviously each person's path is individual, and that's where I feel that term falls short, because it doesn't make sense. Because how can you call someone a fluffy bunny just because their path maybe is a bit more light and yours is maybe a bit more dark or grey? Like, it's just, everyone's different. And I'm sure, actually, I was saying, before I get into my beliefs, but I'm sure from this little rant I just had, I don't know, I just sort of like got inspired and just went with it. I'm sure that you can tell which side of the fence that I sit on this topic. I personally do not like the term fluffy bunny. I really, really, really don't agree with it. And to be honest, I'll hold my hand up right now and say that I'm fluffy bunny, if that's like if that's how you want to play it, how sort of like loosely taking the term or whatever. Like I personally, my path, I'm sure as you know, I practice is more sort of a light, like sort of a light in the light sort of thing. I don't really practice a dark or sort of grey magic, but I, at the same time, I appreciate it. I'm not afraid of it. I don't disagree with it or anything like that. But I personally resonate more with the light, with the sort of I hate using the term white and dark magic, but if we want to go that way, I personally practice white magic if we want to play it that way. But yeah, no, that's just me personally, and I love the idea of having that belief that you can cast spells and rituals to help bring about world peace and things like that. I love that sort of idea. And if that makes me a fluffy bunny, then what the hell, I'm a fluffy bunny. But I just think it's just, I don't know, it's just my personal way. Even in if we're going down the sort of fairy Wicca path and like different fairy paths, like my belief and the way I work with the fairies and stuff is would be considered light. Like a white sort of light, like in a light-hearted sort of way. I mean, obviously, fairies aren't all light and sparkles. They are mischievous and they can be dark and dangerous. But I personally choose to go the other way and to practice the other way. But that's just what I personally choose, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, how can someone say that I'm not a proper witch because I only practice white magic, or I only have X amount of beliefs and I don't honour certain gods and goddesses and whatever, and I focus too much on the light side of things that don't have balance and blah 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 blah. But the whole point is that that's my personal preference. That's what I feel at this point in time in my life that I resonate with. I mean, possibly later in life, I mean, when I'm going through a different phase of my life or going down a different portion like of my path, I may believe or I may feel differently, and I may start to want to practice things like in a dark, perhaps I want to sort of like have a more sort of like, I don't know, maybe even a more grey sort of aspect of magic and things like that. And I definitely think I definitely can appreciate and understand that magic isn't just black and white. There, just like life, there are grey areas. But I just personally, at this moment in time, just feel more comfortable on practicing like just from purely a white magic perspective, and that's okay. But yeah, I will end it there before I rant for absolutely ages. But I'd really love to know what your thoughts are on the term fluffy bunny, and whether you agree with what I've said, or if you interpret the term differently, if you yourself are a so-called fluffy bunny, or you completely despise them, or whatever. Like, this is what I wanted this series to be about, like sort of like debate and things like that. So I would love to hear what your thoughts are on the topic. And yeah, and I really, really hope you enjoyed it. I'm really enjoying the series. It's just like really fun to just like rant and get things off my chest and blah blah blah. But anyway, I will see you all in my next video, and I hope you're well. Blessed.